another episode, a masterclass with the Modern Conducting Academy. I'm Dr. Jacqueline Normandy, the founder, and we are here tonight with Dr. Charlene Archibeque, an absolute legend in the conducting and choral field. She was the DCA at San Jose State University for years. She has conducted around the world and 44 state honor choirs now. Her career is incredible. She is the first woman in the world to receive a doctorate in choral conducting. Legendary. I'm so excited. She's been a mentor of mine and an inspiration for years. Charlene, I'm going to turn it over to you.
That's wonderful. Actually, I think it's 46 states now.
Woo.
I would love to catch up the other four before I leave this earth, but who knows? So thank you for that excited, short introduction. I love short introduction. And also I love your enthusiasm. It just seeps out. And half of, I think, most of our success as choral conductors comes from our personality, whatever that personality is. If you don't show it in rehearsal, then you cannot have a good rehearsal. Because our singers become so close to us emotionally that we are doing such an intimate thing together, making music and using our bodies in very intimate ways, that if you do not teach from who you are, then people don't trust you. And I found, for example, when I first started teaching, and men were used to having a woman choral director, especially at the college level. And often, I think men didn't trust what I was saying. And they'd say, "Oh, so what's your goal? What are you going to do after you leave San Jose State?" And I said, "I don't plan to leave San Jose State. I plan to stay here and teach." And they said, "Oh, no, you have other goals." So I found that partly I think it's because their mothers raised them. They have a certain feeling about mothers, and you as a woman teacher, conductor, have a lot of negativity to fight at first, I think, to get people on your side. And so it's really important that our singers get to know who we are. And I don't mean you tell them your life story. I just mean you show who you are. I had, sorry about that little frog. I had a student who was not free to be himself. And I finally said to him, I said, "Your singers want to know you. They want to know who you are as a person. You need to be more real with them. Who are you? When you talk, where are you coming from? What are your beliefs? What do you..." And so I'm not sure that ever truly happened, but he certainly became a good choral director, so something must have happened. So I wanted to begin today with basically what I call a few rehearsal tips, very few. If we fail to plan, we plan to fail. That's my first tip. In other words, we have to plan exactly what we're going to do in rehearsal, and that means going for the whole 9 yards. Like, I always figured it would take about 6 weeks to get a whole program learned in college, 6 weeks in church to get the Christmas program ready, at least 6, maybe 8. And so I would plan accordingly. How much time are you going to spend on each piece so it's ready when you get to the program? You plan in blocks, you plan in weeks at a time, or rehearsals at a time. How many rehearsal minutes do you have? How many minutes is that piece going to need versus that piece, which is a lot easier? So I plan every rehearsal, and even though I don't always write everything down, I tend to write notes, and I also do plan the order of my rehearsals, and I get them out to my singers usually 2 weeks in advance. Thank God, for computers, even in my time, because I could send out emails to all my singers telling them which pieces to be prepared, get their music in order for that rehearsal, look at it, study it before rehearsal. This is what I expect you to have memorized, not memorized, etc. So I don't think anything takes the place of careful planning. And I do it minute by minute. So if my rehearsal starts at 10:30, I put 10:30 and then I list the 3 warm-ups I'm going to do or the 5 warm-ups I'm going to do. But hopefully after the beginning of the year, when you set your total standards, I try to keep the warm-ups down to about 5 minutes. I figure they should have warmed up before they came in. They've been talking. The main thing is to get a feeling of unity, work on anything that needs working on, whether it's intervals or vowels or consonant articulation. What are you working on that day specifically, and why? Obviously, your warm-ups need to be focused on what you're working on that day, and that there should be some carryover between the warm-ups you choose and the literature you're working on that day. Um, Nobody likes to do the same warm-ups day after day after day. And so that brings me to my second tip, and that is everybody does best with variety. I remember when I was in college, we had a lecturer who talked to us about the artistic experience, and I don't remember what class it was in, but he said the most important thing is unity and variety. Variety in unity. Unity in variety. Either way you want to say it. But people want to have something that they can count on, that they know you're not going to be crazy one day and weird the next. They want something that carries them over from rehearsal to rehearsal, but they get really tired very quickly of the same things over and over. So hundreds of vocalises out there. Keep trying new ones. Use the ones you know work consistently, but not every day, obviously. So if we talk about unity and variety, that means also what you're doing in rehearsal. You don't just do warm-ups for 25 minutes and then say, well, it's time to sing. No, you get rid of the warm-ups quickly and go to the first exciting piece that makes everybody happy that they're there that day. They just can't wait to sing, right? They came because they love to sing and they love you and they want to make music together. So get to the music as fast as you can, even though I know, like probably my first week of any new choir, junior high choir, high school choir, college choir, I spend more time on the warm-ups than I do, obviously, in the second month of school or the second month that you've been together. But because there's certain basics that you have to teach, and I like to outline what those basics are. The first rule is that you have to do whatever I do 150%. Not 100%, but you have to really try your hardest. Whatever it is that I ask you to do, whether it's stand up, sit down, hiss, make faces, close your eyes. I'm going to ask you to do a lot of weird things in choir because we find that those help us sing better. So no matter what I ask you to do, you have to promise that that's what you're going to do as long as you're in my choir. Raise your hand if you all understood that. Good. Everybody is with the program. Secondly, you may not talk while I'm talking, and you may not talk when somebody else in the room is talking, because we are all going to give them the courtesy of listening to them. You will give me the courtesy of listening to me, right? And what's the third? Third rule, I probably go to no 2 consecutive notes, syllables, or words can be sung exactly alike. That takes care of a whole lot of problems. You get a lot of variety immediately if no 2 consecutive things can be sung exactly alike. They can't be the same loudness, they can't be the same tone, they can't be the same articulation. There's so many things they cannot be. But we know a lot of fun things that they're going to be, right? So I'm going to come back to that variety and unity, and if we fail to plan, we plan to fail, right? The third thing I'd like to talk about, and this is not probably something that choral conductors talk too much about, and that is sound and music. What is music? Well, we can talk till we're blue in the face about what music is and what music does, but basically, music is sound in motion. And if there is no motion from one note to the next, it's what we call line, right? If there is no movement from one note to the next, but you just hear ba go ro de sa, you hear note, 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 that's not music. Music is sound in motion. Paul Solomonovich used to say, I like to feel when I am looking at the music that each note is pushing the next note off the edge of the page. And you get that feeling not just by looking at it, but thinking it, that you're making all the notes move this way, or else the notes move this way, or the notes move this way. But they're always moving. One is going into the next. That's what we learn to do, is to sing music in a phrase. One sentence, one phrase, one musical idea. And it's the musical ideas that are important. It's how we treat sound. And that probably brings me to my fourth thing, which I didn't even bother to write down. You have to know what your goals are for everything you do. What are your goals, and what's the most important thing to you in your choir? I used to think mine was diction, because I was such a nut about diction and memorized all Madeline Marshall's rules about singing in English. Diction, I felt if you had really good diction, it solved 80% of your problems. And I still do spend time with diction, but I haven't been such a nut with it. I'm more with, for me, the most important thing in my choir is the emotional intent of the music and how it sounds. If it doesn't sound beautiful, and if I don't like it, then I'm not going to relate to what the choir is singing about, singing for, singing to. As somebody great said, I'm always quoting people, I don't always think exactly who it was. We don't sing to impress people, we sing to inspire people. We make music to make people feel a certain way. And if there is no feeling, your head, your heart, your body, your soul, then the choir won't feel it, and then the audience won't feel it. So I want my audience to go away from a musical performance feeling profoundly moved, entertained, not the whole time, but I really want to give them a full musical diet. And so I often plan my performances like I would plan a meal. And by the way, cooking used to be one of my hobbies. I'm not doing it as much now, but I love nothing so much as inviting friends over and cooking and making dinner together and drinking together and having fun together. So I always want something to drink lightly, some nice little appetizers that I've thought about and made, a soup, which always gets everything going so well, and then maybe a salad or maybe a first course, and then the main course, the duck, the lamb chops. Oh, okay, so I eat meat. I'm sorry. I love vegetables. Which vegetables am I going to fix and how? And then, of course, the dessert. And after the dessert, a little more aperitif, which comes before and after. So I try to have everything in a choral program if I can. Variety, but unity. There's got to be a theme. And I used to have my grad students write, give me some ideas for themes. Well, nowadays, most people get the idea that it helps to have a theme, a unifying idea for the theme. So if I were giving a concert last Friday night, obviously the theme would have been Halloween, right? Um, Try to make it fit the time of the year. If it's holiday season, I try to do holiday songs. If it's St. Patrick's Day, I started doing concerts on St. Patrick's Day because nobody else did. And I could have them in church, and I could do English and music from the British Isles, Ireland, Wales. And also, I could serve green beer if I chose the right church. I always like to have something alcoholic at my receptions afterwards, so it's important where I choose to do my concerts. You got the idea. I do like to drink, but I don't make a point of that with my students. But those who get to know me know that sometimes when I'm on tour with a college choir, I like everybody to have at least one drink before the concert because it does loosen them up. And of course, if I took a high school choir on tour, they could not drink because it was not legal. And so I would not let them drink. And we had a real deal about that. I mean, I never had to send anybody home from a concert, but they knew I did not put up with whatever the rules were. These rules are my rules. And sometimes rules need to be broken, but not those. Not those important rules. And so it was good that I ended up teaching college instead of staying in high school the rest of my life. Although I love high school kids, don't get me wrong. I love going and doing high school honor choirs, working with high school choirs still. I love young people. So I think besides variety, unity, and sound in motion, I think one of the most important things that we do as choral directors is decide where the singers are going to stand and sit. And I'm going to talk more about that later, but the correct standing position can solve 95% of your problem, especially in junior high school. I had them seated 3 feet apart, right? So they can't touch each other. Luckily, I had a very big, wide rehearsal room in junior high, and I could spread them out. And I usually had about 80 or 90 in one choir at a time. So I think that it's very, very important that we stand mostly when we sing. When we're sitting down, we're not using all of the right muscles, and we'll talk about that later. But I feel like we do our best singing when we're standing, basically because of the pelvic tilt. When you're sitting down, you can use abdominal support, but you cannot get the good pelvic tilt that you need. So I like my choir to stand when we sing and sit when I'm explaining something, or we want to talk about the poem, or we want somebody to read the poem, whatever it is we want to do. Sit down. You're in a listening mode. When you're standing, you're in a singing mode. That means standing and sitting a lot, right? You stand for a 4-minute song, then you sit down. I've got something I want to tell you. Now let's stand and sing again. So you're sitting and you're standing. Sometimes you might stand for 10 or 15 minutes. And then you realize they've been standing a little long. They could take a rest, get off your feet, sit down, and you have something, again, that you want to talk about, the word, accents, or whatever it is. It's always talking about the music. I mean, unless you have a really interesting story to tell that fits with what you're singing. And I would always save my jokes if the choir had been really good that day. In junior high, I can't even do that anymore. I can't click my fingers. It's arthritis. And so I would say, what is this? A butterfly with hiccups. That's the kind of humor that my junior high kids liked, right? So I saved those kinds of jokes for them. So besides seating position, standing position, space, I was going to tell you, all of you who are listening, that when I went to New York once, I was asked to bring my four best singers quartet to New York. There were 10 college directors, and each of them brought four singers. We had a guest choir there. It was, believe it or not, it was um, not Carnegie, but the old hall. Do I want to say Alice Tully? And he brought his choir from a Polytech college in Japan, and they had 36 singers, and they stood all on the floor, 4 rows, 9 in each row, in a semicircle, so they could hear each other, and they stood 8 feet apart. It's the first time I had heard a choir sing 8 feet apart. And it obviously did me well for the rest of my career, because I have always seated my small choirs with a lot of space between them all over the room. In my concert choir, I would often seat them or stand them in a circle around the entire room. Why do I like to rehearse in a big circle? So I can see every single singer, so I can watch their mouths, I can watch their posture, I can see them all, and they can all see me. So the only problem is, of course, you have to keep turning gradually as you go around the circle. Also, you can stand right in front of them and you can listen. Because what's the most important thing that we do in rehearsal? Listen. That is the most important thing we do, is listen. I loved when Helmut Rilling, when he was, before a concert, especially 1 or 2 rehearsals before, he wouldn't even conduct. You know, the choir would know the music, and he would stand there like this. He didn't look at them. He didn't move his hand. He just listened. And then he stopped and told the choir what he heard and what he wanted to change. One time I saw in a magazine, it was called 6 Keys to Help Motivate Your Workers. So I changed it to 6 Keys to Help Motivate Your Performing Ensembles. And the first one is, ask for better performance. Describe how the choir is working now, and describe how you want it to be. Then ask the performers to do it that way. Or better yet, ask them, how do they want their choir? How do they want it to be? And how can we all make sure that that is what happens in our rehearsals? So, I'm getting down my list here. I don't want to take too long with this list. My advice to all choral directors, all voice directors, all voice teachers, probably all teachers, is to tape your rehearsals. Tape every rehearsal and then listen to it. I was just thinking about when I always had section leaders in all my choirs, except in junior high school, where I had college students who were my assistants, and they would be section leaders or take a group off and work with them. But where was I? Listening to the students and taping the rehearsals. Oh, I used to have all my assistant conductors and grad students tape their rehearsals when I'd give them a section to take. Usually I would say, you know, you have 25 minutes today for your section, or they know in advance. Tape it and then give it to me, and then I would listen to it in the car driving home. Luckily, I had about a 20-minute drive. And so I would listen to their tape, and then when I got home, I would listen while I was cooking dinner, and then I would make notes and give back to them. And then we would discuss those notes in our section leaders meeting. How can we improve our sectional rehearsals? What did you do in your rehearsal that you thought really was effective? What did you do that you'll never do again? Duh. Try something new every day. Don't get stuck in a rut. Try something new that you've heard about or you wanted to try. If it doesn't work, don't ever do it again. Or maybe you didn't do it well. Try it another day in a different mood. Try something new every day. Don't get stuck in a rut. And that means that you have a lot of music to work on. If you're in a church choir, I always had to do 2 anthems every Sunday. And I had to do music for seasons, right? So in the fall, you have to decide how soon you're going to start your Christmas music. Not in September, obviously, but how many anthems do you need to be working on so they'll be ready by the time you get to that Sunday? That's called planning ahead, yes. If you fail to plan, you plan to fail. And so I usually would rehearse about, I would say 20, 25 songs every night in my church choir. And something happened. I have to tell this because I'll forget. The first rehearsal when I took over the Presbyterian Church in Burlingame, was here we are rehearsing. All of a sudden, one of the tenors raises his hand. He said, "Dr. Archibeque, would you play the tenor part at the bottom of page 3?" And I said, "No." The whole choir just was in shock. And I said, "As long as I'm your choir director, I will never play your part for you." And he said, "Well, what if we're having trouble and we can't find the notes?" And I said, "If you're having trouble, I'll hear it and we'll all stop and we'll say, 'Tenors, I hear you're having trouble here. Can we analyze what is the problem? Are you missing this interval? What is it, the rhythm? What is causing the problem? Let's all sing this tenor part right here and figure out what is the problem and how can we solve it?'" To me, there's nothing more boring than working on parts in rehearsal. I don't like to work on parts, and so I didn't. In my college choir, if they needed parts work, I let the section leaders take them out and work on their parts. When I rehearse, I want to rehearse the music with everybody singing. And that's my goal, is to have everybody singing 95% of the rehearsal time. That's why if I stop them, I try to say, "Great, let's try staccato," right? Try to tell them what you want, short and less than 7 words. That'll give you something to think about the next time you stop the choir, right? I know I'm talking a lot now, but when I'm in a rehearsal, I really try not to talk other than give explicit directions on what I heard and what I want. So that's probably way too much of me talking. Why don't we listen to a rehearsal tape of a dear girl who was so generous to give us a portion of her choir rehearsal. And her name is Javius Stewart. Do you say Stewart or Stewart?
I say Stewart.
You do, Stewart. But
Yeah.
you're a choral director. You should say Stewart. Just like,
You're right.
just like I had a student whose name is Bill Liberator. I said, "But it's Liberatore. How can you pronounce your name Liberator with a beautiful musical name like that?" But it's a great name, and you have a beautiful face, and I love the way you're always smiling. Everything about your appearance is conducive to singing, and you like to have fun. I like the way your choir laughed several times, and you laughed. That was really important to me, that you were having fun and you liked it. So, shall we listen to the whole thing or listen to a little bit of it and talk, or do you want me to talk over you?
A little bit of it I think is fine, Dr. Archibeque.
You'll listen to a little bit of your rehearsal? All
Yes.
right.
Great.
That's
All right.
fine.
So,
Here
Dr.
we go.
Archibek, I will share, I have all the videos pulled up. I'll share the screen and
Okay.
you can talk over it. And if you want me to pause it and give some extra notes, just go ahead and say, and we'll go from there.
Okay, great.
Let me share the screen. All right.
Wrong one.
Oh, here we go. Thank you.
Later, Linda.
Oh, there we go. There we go. Wait, where to go? Come over here. There we go.
There she is.
There she is. Here we go.
Dressed in black, just like for concert.
Woo. All right, press play. Here we go.
All right. Hello. Good afternoon, choir. Good afternoon. Awesome. All right. We are at Hark I Hear the Harps Eternal. We're going to start at the beginning of the movement. This is the one that's arranged by Mark Hayes. What I actually want to do is I just want to have you all speak the text. It's in 3, so you just go ahead and speak the text. I'll do 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Hark I hear. All right. Ready? 1, 2, 3, 1. Speaking.
Hark I hear the harps eternal, ringing on the farther shore. As I hear those swollen waters with their deep and solemn roar.
Stop there for a second. All right, can you do it again? Speak it again, but I like to hear more of your head voice sound. And let's see, what else do I want to mention? When you get to shore and you get to roar, I want you to maybe end a little bit early. So, on the farther shore, as I, okay? Sorry, hark, I hear. Nice in your head voice, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2.
Hark I hear the harps
Say for me. Hark.
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 That's the one I want. I'll just give you 1, 2, and you go. 1, 2.
Hark I hear the harps eternal, ringing on the farther shore. As I hear those swollen waters with their deep and solemn roar.
Great. All right. Yeah. So so I just want you to be I want you to notice that there are a lot of anacrusis, I don't know, a lot of anacrusises, if that's the right word. So just make sure you arrive at the downbeat. So let's try doing this. Let's try singing just the melody line in your comfortable register. Jonathan, play along with us. Ready? Sing it hard. 1, 2.
Good. Let's stop there if we can.
That's what I'm looking for. I'm kind of looking for.
Good. Great. Do you always wear black when you rehearse? It's just interesting.
I don't.
You don't. Do you always wear a hat or
I don't. I just recently.
Was it a Halloween costume?
Not always. Okay. I don't always wear a hat. Whenever my hat on, it's like just my signature. It just lets everyone know. I'm probably gonna have a new hairstyle the next time people see me.
Well, I love the hat. I would love it on the beach. I would love it if I were dressed up going somewhere, but I wouldn't love it in rehearsal. Do you know why?
Why?
Because every time you move your head this way, it makes a shadow over your face and we cannot see your face very well. It's the lighting. If you had a spotlight on you maybe, and if you never leaned over, it might be all right. But your face is your most expressive aspect, right? And you have a beautiful face. Your choir needs to see it all the time. They need to see your eyebrows. They need to see your lips, right? Jaw, head, posture. What is it we want to show in our conducting?
I'm sorry, can you say that again, please?
What is it we want to show in our conducting?
I think our gestures, our facial expressions, just like kind of the mood of the piece.
Were you showing the mood of the piece up here?
Uh, a little bit, I think.
Yes, a little bit. You were showing kind of a articulated feeling. Right. You obviously explained to them that this is an American song. It's a Sacred Harp song. And in those days, they were not trained singers. They were just people who liked to come and sing in church, right? And so they sang in a style that was not very, what we would call classical today, right? In other words, a little more natural sound, not a cultivated sound. And you did show that. You're right. What else do you want to show?
I think showing cutoffs and entrances.
You're
Um,
right. You're right.
yeah.
And you really don't need to count them, do you? If you show them,
Right, correct.
probably you wasted all that time going 1, 2, 3 when you could have just said, "Everybody ready?" Right?
Yeah,
Why bother counting when they've got eyes and you've got hands, right? So let's use the two
right.
of them. Waste not, want not when it comes to time, right? What else do you want to show in your conducting?
Mm, I guess showing if I guess whenever there's an introduction of a new like a new section, so that might look a little different. Like an A section conducting might look a little different than a B section part, or if
How?
there's like a
How different?
I get like maybe the A section might be like a little like it might be at like I don't know, like an andante tempo, and then the maybe the B section is like at a presto tempo, so it's gonna be like a little, faster.
You actually would change the tempo of this song?
Mhm. Okay. Oh, so this song, there's not really any changes. I
No,
think there might be
but
like
there
a
could be
retard,
another change.
but
What's another change you might affect?
mhm. I guess if there's like at the very end, if there's like a retard or a rallentando to end the
Probably
piece.
not. It's kind of like a march, isn't it? It's like
Oh yeah,
onward Christian soldiers, we're marching together. I'm hearing the call, right? Hark, I
yeah.
hear. When the
Mhm.
first time you stopped them, what did you ask them to do?
Oh,
Do you remember?
I had I had them I had them speak it and then I had them sing it, right?
Yeah, what you stopped them while they were speaking it, and you said you wanted to hear more of something.
Oh,
Was it the
consonants. The
consonants?
K of heart. Yes, consonants.
Okay. What is the dominant sound of that first
Mhm.
phrase, and what did you ever tell them how you wanted it? How many times do you hear a certain sound in that first phrase? Everybody, hark, I hear the harps eternal. How do you want the R handled? It's the most problematic sound in
Oh,
the English language. Did you
it
notice how
is.
many R's there are? Do you want
Yeah.
hark? I hear the harps. What do you
Oh,
want?
that makes me cringe. I think I wanted more of like less R, like kind of non-existent R.
You're right. It's not English
Yeah.
hawk on hill, but you
Right.
have to get rid of as much of the as you can. And still, the audience needs to hear the R. The other thing that I thought you might try some change with was dynamics. Who's your favorite recording of this piece?
It's interestingly enough, whatever one is on JW Pepper is my go-to. I don't know the name of the choir that does it, but I like their version of it. Trying to think other choirs that
Did
I
you hear
that I've
one that
listened.
started softly? Hark, I hear the harps eternal. and then they sang the Hallelujah loud. I think that's an idea.
Yeah.
It's a piece you can play with the dynamics, but I wouldn't play with the tempo because the tempo shows the steadfastness of our religion, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah, you probably just said that not thinking, but it's okay. It gives us all something to think about. So, I think that the choir needs to see more of you, and that means not only your face, which is so beautiful, but your hands showing something to do with tone. How we stand and what they see of our bodies is how your choir will sound when it sings. I'm not sure if the only reason you had them to count it or to speak it was to work on the consonants. I don't think they needed to do that because I know you always showed the phrase cutoffs and final consonants. You were very good about showing cutoffs. But what you wanted was more of the K, like huck, right?
Yes.
Some of the sibilant consonants. I think you probably wanted more of those. But I would just do it with the singing. I think the only time I do like speaking text if I'm working on vowel location, consonant articulation, and where it is. But I'd rather they sang it first, and then if there's some consonant they left out, call their attention to it. But what is this show?
The beat pattern.
You were showing the beat pattern really well. We got the 1, 2, 3 really well. Yeah. What else was it showing?
I don't know.
Do you want your singers to sound like that when they're singing?
Oh,
You
so I want
might.
them to stand,
You
or you said
might.
stand, or
Yeah, you might. But
okay.
generally, they're either going to
Okay.
be holding their music like this, or
Mhm.
they're going to have the music memorized. And you should be putting your hands down where?
I guess at like,
Where's the
I guess my
center?
hands are too high, so I guess they should be
You
like.
got it. Your hands are way too high.
Oh.
Where's the center of tone?
I forget what it's called in the conducting world, but it's kind of just like right in the in the middle. So
Where in the middle?
I guess level. Okay, so belly button level, maybe, or maybe higher than the belly button.
Even lower.
Even lower. Oh,
Even lower. The whole abdominal, right?
Okay.
Well, you can't be afraid to show this in your choirs. That's why the first couple weeks of school I wear really tight clothes so they can see what's happening with my too large stomach. After that, I wear tunics that hide my stomach because I don't want people to see my stomach. It's been this way ever since I had my child 59 years ago, about the same. But I do want the choir in the beginning, as they learn where the support is, to see my body. Why can't they see your body?
I get because I have a stand in the way.
You got it. Lower that stand. Lower it. A lot of directors flatten it or they turn it around. I never understood why they turned it around because I never wanted my music falling off. But lower it. Lower it. And then I want you to practice, and you're going to promise me that you will hold your hands level with your elbow. Right?
Yes.
So 1, 2. 1, 2. See where it comes down?
Yes.
It's going to feel different at first, but you're going to love it. Even Michael Tilson Thomas, our conductor for 25 years of the San Francisco Symphony, and our new conductor, Ezapeka Solomon, who everybody's crazy about, conduct low. Unless they're cueing the timpani or the trumpets, right?
Yeah.
You adjust your hand Why do we want to hold our hands down there?
I guess like one, oh, I'm sorry.
To show support. To show
Oh,
support.
right. Yes.
It's always the breath. That's where our tone comes from. If our hands are up here, we're giving him no help to make beautiful tone. In fact, often, if you just stand with one hand here and conduct, you will get a different sound. Can you hear me when I stand up?
Yes.
Right? So you're going to have to practice in front of a mirror, or you can practice underneath a counter or something until that becomes natural and normal for you. And you will be amazed at the difference your choir sounds.
Can I make a comment about that?
Yes,
I think the other thing it does is lessen fatigue.
it definitely
Standing
does.
up here,
Mhm.
you know, and then the arms and, you know, down here, I think lessens conductor fatigue. If you keep it
Very good
here.
point. Yes, I've had conductors come to me and tell me that they have back problems, severe back problems. And I just say, lower your plane of conducting. You're right. Thank you for pointing that out. Excellent.
Mhm.
Do you always practice with your choir in the same place?
Not always. Sometimes, like when we do our warm-ups, I might have them make a circle or I might have them spread out around the church. But that's just
Good.
usually for like our warm-ups, and I have them stand up and sit down in the spot that they were in.
Good. Is that where you sing on Sundays from?
Yes, ma'am.
From that particular place? That's interesting. I was lucky in my church. I actually had a choir rehearsal room, and then after we finished the rehearsal, we'd go over to the sanctuary and sing Sundays anthems with the organ, whatever. But it didn't seem like there was enough light in that part of the church. Can you get more light on you?
Yes, I think I only didn't put all the lights on because when I was trying to record the video, it just was too bright. But normally there's a lot
I
of
see. Okay.
lights.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that we've talked about that you question or that you don't want to try?
Oh, you said that I don't want to try, or that I?
Anything that we've talked about that you have questions?
Oh, I'm trying to think. Okay, I guess like my other thing is because the space that I'm in is pretty small. I thought about getting a like a, what do you call it? A podium,
Yes.
but because sometimes I struggle like the organist slash accompanist. It's a struggle seeing like us making contact to stay together when he's behind like on the organ console, and it's like he has to like look over it, and I don't know how to like show my pattern so that he can also see. I don't know.
Is there
That's a struggle thing for
if
me.
you moved a couple feet one way or the other, could he see you?
Um, I don't. I because they just moved it. They moved it from where it was. They pivoted it. I could ask about it being pivoted again. I don't know. I'm trying
Yeah,
to.
you need to work with him because you can't let that change what is
Oh,
good for your choir.
right.
Obviously, he has to see you. Like my organist had a mirror that he used
Mm.
because the organ was in a strange place, in the church. So he always used a mirror. But you've got to do what's best for your choir, right?
Right.
And he's got to see you, and you got to do what's best for them. So I
Mhm.
know that you'll think about that. And if you make those changes, you're going to be amazed at how different your rehearsals go.
Thank
If
you
you,
so much, Charlene.
Yeah.
Javius, or Charlene, do you wanna wrap this up? We have two more people,
yeah,
and I want to make
there's
sure we
one
keep.
good. There's one point I did want to make, and that is generally we like to have our hands with our fingers together
Mhm.
so the sound doesn't escape through our fingers. And so you want to think about vowel shape, the voice box, the larynx. We use our hands for this. So I would like you to try more expressive gestures with your hands and think about holding the tone in your hands.
Okay. I like that visual, holding the tone. Right. Thank you.
Good. Thank you, my dear. Thank you so much for being willing to share your excellent tape. It's one of my favorite songs.
I appreciate it. Oh, good. It's a classic. And this is perfect because we're going to sing this song on Sunday for All Saints Day, so I can apply these things that you've shared with me, Dr. Archibeque. So I appreciate it.
Great. Good luck.
Beautiful. And just real fast, Javius, I had to get a podium as well. Same problem. So they just made a little one. So absolutely get a podium, like Dr. Archibeque said. Make sure you can make that connection. All right. Next up, we have Kerwin, and Charlene, do you want to, or Kerwin, do you want to introduce yourself? Get straight to it. Go on and hop on.
Yeah, sure. Hi, hello everybody. My name is Cohen. I'm a doctoral student in choral conducting right now. And that's about it.
Where?
NDSU, Dr. Archibeque. Remember, I was your interview. I interviewed for the Choral Sing America for the documentary film for Dr. Blackstone. Last year, 2 years before.
I don't remember.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
I remember. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
It's fine.
Kerwin,
Yeah.
you were involved in the documentary that Dr. Blackstone did?
I just help with a little bit with the gathering informations, material.
Ah, yes. Now I remember. Okay. Yeah.
Remember, my sister was in Shanghai.
Amazing. All right. Well,
Okay.
we will get started. What choir is this that we're going to be watching?
Oh, this is actually not a official choir. It's just the people I gathered for my chamber recital. So they're not singing together. They're only singing together for a couple months.
Great.
And they're several of them are come from my colleagues. They're all grad students, and some of them are freshmen. So their level is very different. So we had a long time to figure out how to do the balance, tuning together. But I think we've been together, working together for roughly 2 months, and we have meet twice per week, and each time like about a little over 1 hour, 1 hour 50 minutes. Yeah.
All right, here we go. Share the screen. Okay, and
I wish we could see your face.
Yeah, I didn't record it in front of me. Oh.
Okay, wow, good. One more time, no singing. Let's take from a last 2 notes, page 32 bits. Still no you. Okay, you. Yeah, okay. 3, 1, 2.
In the first inning,
Now let's add the tenor and alto from 310. Give them the beat. Yeah. Can we have one measure the piano part, one measure before, that's 309. Piano part, okay? So it must have been after the birth of the simple love in the first spinning days, the smell of roses walking You're a little hair up here. So I'm there to reach her, yeah, bottom of this page. Yeah, I will show you more here. You have to with me on the down, change it to da, da, dee, da. So the jumbo here. Oh, Charlene, much better. Yeah, good. Let's work on next section will be page.
Charlene, do you want me to pause it or keep going for a while?
Yeah, this is a good place. Sure. Coogan, what did you notice?
Huh?
What did you notice?
Bad part or good part?
What did you notice that you liked? What did you notice that you will change in your next rehearsal?
I'll probably say I'm bouncing my back a little bit. Yeah.
You did this a lot.
Yeah, I do this a lot.
Have you ever seen Rod Eichenberger's video? What they see is what you get.
Yes. No.
You've not seen it?
I know. I will put on my list. Is that
you get that and you watch it. It's amazing.
Okay.
If the conductor stands leaning to one side, after a while the choir stands all leaning to one side.
Okay.
It's like whatever the conductor's doing, that's what the choir does after a while. And you don't want them to do this. So
Yeah.
you need to stand. First couple rehearsals, just put one hand here and remind yourself to stand tall or put a book on your head, right?
Yeah.
Try that until it becomes natural in front of a mirror, of course. What else did you notice?
About my gesture? I feel like I'm also very high. I want to be lower my hand too.
Your stand was a little high. I know, I like that see-through stand that you have, but it might be better if you put your stand on the floor.
The stand is on the floor. It's just too high.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to adjust it the other day. It just stuck.
I think the piano is blocking you too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you weren't lucky enough to be born 6 feet tall like I was. Well, eventually I got there.
Yeah.
You need to make sure they can see all of your body. What did you notice about the singers?
They were heads down too much, buried in the score.
Buried in their score.
Yeah.
How could you improve that?
I would say eyes up.
What else?
Or I can. We just talked about this. Big circle in the room.
You could find a different place in the room where they could see you better, or you could get rid of the piano, move the piano over to the side a little, because the piano's blocking you. You saw that. The piano and the stand are both blocking you.
Okay.
What else could you have the singers do?
Stand up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Are you a singer? Are you a trained singer?
I am a singer. The reason we sit over there because we have a long day rehearsal. I'm just trying to be nice to them to let them rest a tiny little bit.
You are not being nice to your sopranos. What was the highest note they had to sing?
Okay.
What was it? B flat?
I
B
think
flat?
it's an A. It's an A. They need to
I
study.
used to have an A, but I wouldn't want to sing it sitting down. I'd sure
Okay.
want my full support. You could
Sure.
hurt their throats that way.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
If I were them, I would complain and say, "Can we please stand up?"
Sure. I
They
will for
want to
sure.
stand up. They want to stand up when they sing.
Yeah, yeah.
Have you had somebody read the poetry?
I didn't let I let everybody read the poetry by themselves, but I didn't ask people to read loud to them. But they read by themselves during the rehearsal.
Did you grow up in Korea?
Me?
Uh-huh.
I didn't go to Korea.
I'm sorry, where are you from?
China.
Oh, sorry, I forgot. I often, I think everybody thinks that you're from China, and anyway, you had certain Korean characteristics. Beautiful face, beautiful. But what I wondered whether you have ever heard of John Burton and Elizabeth Taylor. Probably not.
Mm-hmm. No.
They are famous actors, and they fell in love with each other, and they made a number of films together. And John Burton reads that poem online.
Mm-hmm.
If I were you, I would get it, and I would, or just tell your choir, go home and listen to John Burton read this poem. He does such a beautiful job of it, and he tells you where he wants the breaths, where he wants to lock in the phrases one to the other, which you can't always tell, the way a poem is spaced on the page.
Mm-hmm.
He does some very interesting things with the phrasing that might give you and your choir some ideas.
Sure.
Were you happy with the diction?
Not really.
Why?
To be honest, I didn't pay much attention on diction for that part of rehearsal. We're trying to do the accelerando. So that's why I keep counting the 1 and 2 and 3. So I didn't pay much attention on the diction over there.
The poem is everything, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Have you heard other music by John Corigliano?
I heard not a choral music, but instrument music, orchestra music.
I saw his opera, The Ghosts of Versailles. It was on television, national television, when they did it at the Met. Fascinating opera, yeah. But I don't know much of his other music. It sounds very difficult.
Yeah.
It sounds like you picked some very difficult music for your.
Yeah, it is. It
recital.
has some challenge. Yeah, it has challenge.
But you have some wonderful voices, and there's no reason at all that they cannot sing that. You chose well, and the blend is not going to be bad at all either when they're standing and producing the tone that you want. But make sure that the diction is really the word stress. I want to say more word stress,
Yes.
Sometimes if you have them bend their knees on the accented words, have them underline which syllable in each word gets the word stress. So I think if you deal more with the diction, the notes will come. These are good readers. These are good musicians. You're lucky.
Okay, diction. We did that. We actually did that, but I didn't do the whole piece, entire piece. It's about 51 pages. But we did something under than the word stress. We did that. But
And
for
so
this section,
you want them to watch you for the accelerando, though.
Oh
You
yeah, they need to watch.
it.
Yeah, that's the first time we
I see.
Run through the accelerando.
I see.
The second time I see him without me seeing anything.
You were making a point, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
But right now they don't need me to count. I'm just silenced. They're just watching me right now. Yeah, that's from last week. Yeah.
Good. You might have them practice holding their music up all at the same height.
What? Sorry.
Have them hold their music up all at the same height.
Okay, up all same height. Sounds good.
Around the choir, yeah. They can just check, see if their neighbor's music is as high as theirs.
But what if they're in different heights? Some people are taller, some people are shorter.
I bought boxes, individual boxes for my singers.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
Okay.
They're not that expensive, but you might be able to borrow them from somebody, although,
We do have stools, choir stools.
yeah, the little choir,
So
that's what you want. Put your
you-
short ones on it and adjust them so that they are at the same height, so their ears can hear each other.
Oh, that's actually a very new concept to me.
If one's low and one's high, they're not hearing each other at the same level where their ears are.
Okay, yeah. That's kind of very new concept. I never thought about this before because sometimes we'll do the mix formation. Some bass is really tall, over 6 feet. Some alto is really like short. They were just like this.
Right. So you need to put the short one on the top step of the podium and the taller one down lower, because you want them as much as possible to be at the same level ear-wise.
Okay.
Yeah, good. Expect more from them. Just because they've never been together before. It's a new choir.
It's a new choir.
And they love you or they wouldn't be singing for you, right?
Yeah.
Expect more.
Okay.
Anything else you want to talk about?
Like, we did a lot of stuff for this because this piece is hard. We put a lot of work on and put together. I'm not sure. One quick question: I mean, it's a silly question. Maybe I shouldn't ask. How you absolutely draw the choir, everybody's attention? Because right now they know the music right now. I just get off from a rehearsal from them. I see some people, they're doing this. So I see eyes up. They're just eyes up a couple seconds, then they were doing this again. Maybe because the way say the piano blocks me or something. I feel like I feel they're not 100% with me because I know how a really good performance or rehearsal is your choir, the voice, and their mind, their soul is 100% with you. But I see some not 100%, maybe because of rehearsal. How we do that? Do you have any personal trick?
Oh, yeah. I had a friend at a local university who asked me to come and observe his rehearsal. He said, I think there's something wrong with my conducting, because he said, they're not giving me what I want. So I went to his rehearsal, and they were all sitting down, and they were all singing like this. His conducting looked beautiful, but nobody saw it. All of his beautiful conducting gestures were going to waste because wasn't getting through to them, their eyes. And so you just have to say, I want to see the tops of your eyes over your music. If I don't see this, then I will stop conducting. Whatever it is that you decide to do, it has to be so dramatic that they have to watch you.
So I would just literally stop.
Or you just tell them, okay, I'm not going to do this concert. We're not ready yet because you guys are still buried in your scores. And so I guess we can't sing this. I'll just have to cancel my recital. I mean, do something drastic.
I guess.
And start conducting differently. Conduct like this. So they have to look and see you. If you're conducting big all the time and you're doing the same gesture, why should they watch you?
Yeah.
So if I were you, I would analyze my conducting and see how you can vary the size, the shape, the rebound, the articulation. If your conducting is interesting, they'll watch you. If you surprise them, stop conducting. Tell the pianist to keep playing. Let them keep saying you stop conducting. Do like Helmut Rilling does, and just go like this.
Okay.
Do something dramatic. Make them have to watch you.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
Promise?
Huh?
Promise?
Promise.
Do you promise?
Yeah. Absolutely. Maybe I should send your new
It's a
tip.
good question. It's a very good question.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank
Also,
you.
tell them. Don't forget to tell them. Tell them what you want. Tell them what you're not getting and what has to happen. I'm not getting your eyes 100% of the time.
Mhm.
Paul Solomonovich, again, one of my early mentors here in California, had all of his singers hold their music, but they never looked at it. They never looked at it, but he always had them hold it. It was there as a crutch, but they were watching him like crazy because he was really giving them gestures about sound and articulation.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
Thank
I'm
you,
sure you're a
Charlene.
good student. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Cohen. Congratulations on your doctoral studies. And yeah, I look forward to seeing more of those. And with our final video, Linda, oh, you told me how to say your last name. I don't want to butcher it. Halika.
Heikala. We're very close. Heikala.
I'm sorry. Real quick, where do you teach? Tell us a little about the ensemble.
Okay, I teach at Crimson Cliffs High School. That is in southern Utah. And the ensemble that I'm directing, this is my beginning mixed choir at the high school. And a lot of sophomores, a lot of students who haven't taken a lot of choir before. And it was Halloween when we recorded it. So they were anticipating the festivities, let me say that.
They were swirly, so very, very, what is it? Relatable for most of our teachers, the Halloween rehearsal or the day after Halloween. Woo! All right. Well, let's get to your video. And is there any, do you want us to start from the beginning there, Linda?
Wherever you want to start it. I just started with my warm-ups, so yeah.
Okay, I'll put it in as just a little bit. All right, share the screen. There we go. Let's get a fast forward just a little bit so we get into more of the song. Oh goodness. Oh, yeah. Hold on. This is amazing. I would love. Here we go.
Okay, five wasn't too bad. It was the next one. What do you think we did? Okay, which one did we get fixed? Okay, yes. So now it's by all the way over. Here we go. Nice. Let's siren now. Breathe.
I'm gonna skip into some of your songs. Let's come over here.
Good. Start the other direction. Sopranos. Here we go. I mean the other way. Do, re, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, si, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 3. Remember your number. Remember your number. Okay? Ready? And 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. I was so scared. 4. Is that like touchdown?
Okay, we're gonna skip ahead just a little bit.
Okay, everybody together, all the same. Ready? And draw. This would be our circle. This would be your circle. Listen to each other. Okay, start with 1. Ready? And this circle. Ready? Do, re, do, la, so, la, si, la, si, la, si, la, si, Good. Now, basses, you start, then tenors, then alto sopranos in your circle.
Fast forward a little bit more. Charlene,
I
anything
think
so far?
that gives us enough to talk about.
All right.
Linda, are you here? There you are. Yes. You from a distance, the camera was back so far, I couldn't tell what you looked like. You're prettier up close. You should cut your bangs. Like I wouldn't wear this if I was conducting, right? We want to see your eyebrows. And if I were you, I would tie my hair back, because I noticed sometimes in rehearsal you were playing with it. It becomes a habit, and after a while, you know, kids start imitating us, our bad habits. So anyway, show your face. It's beautiful. Yes. You did so many wonderful exercises. Where did you learn them all?
Just different workshops actually, and classes, but yeah, a lot of different workshops. I picked up things.
You've got some really good workshops. How much time do you use so many good warm-ups. How much time do you usually spend warming up your choir?
Usually 10 to 15 minutes. That was a little bit of an extended one this time, because I wanted to get them matching their voices better now. I wanted to start working on that, because the next song, the song that we were working on, is a Christmas song, Lullaby, and I wanted them to try to make that more blended and balanced. So that's why I was doing all those exercises.
Did it work?
It helped a lot, yeah.
Did it? Good. I felt like they were kind of bored.
Yeah, it was long.
You didn't have everybody's attention, and you didn't have everybody's 100% involvement. And believe it or not, I'm going to suggest something radical. Knowing that it was Halloween and knowing you were probably going to have a problem. In fact, I expected to see them all in costumes. You know, everywhere I went yesterday, everybody was in costume. I couldn't believe it. The hospital, the doctor's office, the grocery store, really cute costumes. I had never been out on Halloween. Usually I was teaching, you know, and I would always wear a costume. In fact, I'm surprised you didn't wear one. I like to have fun on those holidays with my choir, yeah. In fact, if they don't wear a costume, they don't get in, right? But anyway, I'm going to suggest that you change the whole seating of your choir. First of all, I would want the men, especially the one in the gray shirt, right in the front row. Right there where I had my hand on him if I needed to, and I wouldn't be afraid to touch him no matter what his mother said. But I would put the basses on the line with your best basses in back and your problem basses in the front. Your tenors next to them. your altos on the right, because your girls aren't causing you very much trouble. There are some of them are a little bit not able to concentrate, but you'll get them better if you put the altos on the right, sopranos on the left. Now you've got
Put
the
the men
basses
in the
and the
middle.
sopranos together so they can hear the root of the chord. They can sing with each other and help each other. You've got the polarity of the voices. Then you've got your two inner voices, and if you need to, the altos can double your tenors, right?
Right. Okay.
Now, within that, you need to decide where they are according to their personalities, their voices, who your leaders are, and who your followers are. And I would work on it maybe for a month until I had it so that my choir was standing exactly where they would do their best. Because your idea to get them in circles is terrific. I use that all the time, but you were there too long. And you know what else you did? You sang it in the same key for about 6 minutes. Why didn't you move up to C sharp or D or E flat? Or let's see if we can sing F in tune. If you keep singing in the same key all the time, they're going to go flat, especially in the white keys. I try to rehearse in the black keys, C sharp, F sharp, you know. So think about the keys you're doing. I would try to cut down, if singing blended in the section was what you were trying to get, I would have the whole choir singing unison so that you could really hear them. Put them in a circle and have them sing scales, but you're doing too much. Linda, you are doing all their work for them. You are stretching the notes, you're showing them the line, you're showing them accents, you're showing the vowels, you're showing the kodais, hand signals, you are doing everything. I want you to stop doing everything and make them do everything. If you do that, it will change your whole rehearsal. Make them responsible for all the movement, and I mean all. Even have one of your student conductors conduct so that you're moving around the room and watching and listening. You are trying so hard to show them everything instead of listening to what they're doing. You had that wonderful pianist sitting at her piano, and there you were at the piano looking down at your notes. You need to be looking at them and getting their eyes on you and saying to you through their eyes, I'm with you. Even if it's Halloween, I like this choir and I will do what I'm supposed to do. Even more radical, I assume this was Friday's rehearsal, or was it yesterday?
It was yesterday.
Wow, that's great. Okay, if I knew they were coming from a pep rally, or I knew they were coming into Halloween and they were all higher than kites, I would have had them sit down, close their eyes, and hum. I wouldn't have them do anything where they had to open their mouths. You want their mouths shut, right?
Mhm.
They weren't listening to you. They weren't listening to each other. How can they blend when they're not listening to each other? There's some of them weren't even singing what you asked them to, and you didn't hear it, partly because they were in the back row, and you don't want them back there. You know who they are, certainly by now.
Yeah.
Change your seating until it fixes almost everything. Get them to close their eyes and get them to listen. They're not all opening their throats. And yet you had such excellent exercises. I know what you want, but you haven't got them there yet. And I know also you've come from a very terrible time when kids are not happy. America is not happy. Our politics are not good. Who was it? Said, politicians should read science fiction, not westerns and detective stories. 90% of the politicians give the other 10% a bad reputation. Well, I don't know if that's true or not, but I collect quotes, and I put a quote on the board every day. A good one for you would be, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. The chain falls down. A choir is only as strong as its weakest link, its weakest singer, its weakest musician, whatever you want to say. And if I were you, I would have stopped the minute you tried to tell them something and they weren't listening. So they figured, well, it's okay. It's okay. She's letting us talk, so it must be okay if we talk, right?
Mhm.
No, tell them what you want. Say, choir, I am recording you today, and you are embarrassing me. You are embarrassing yourselves. I tell them point blank, this is not the choir I had last week, and I need you to be that choir again. Tell them exactly what you want, and then don't deviate from it. Sometimes you'll feel mean,
Mhm.
but sometimes you have to be mean. A parent isn't mean for giving his students, his boys and girls, standards to live by. And you have to set the standards for your choir. And I feel like maybe just because you were on the video, you were afraid to tell them. But I was just waiting for you to say, hold on, stop, sit down, let's talk. I was just waiting for you to do that. You did spend 25 minutes on warm-ups. Do you have a stopwatch? Do you have a clock? Write on the chalkboard. We're going to do 3 exercises a day. These are the ones. Choir started at 10:30 this morning. At 10:35, we're going to be singing our first song. Your kids don't want to do warm-ups for a whole period, especially on Monday. They come in Monday, what do they want to do? Sing. So let them sing. Don't do warm-ups that day. You saw how they were. I would hate to say it was all wasted, but they weren't listening to each other. They weren't getting the good out of the exercises that you know is there. There's nothing wrong with your exercises. They were wonderful. You could write a book on them. But they weren't getting full advantage of them. Because what did they want to do today? Make music. Sing the most fun song you have, or sing the quietest song you have in their repertoire. Let's all close our eyes and let's all hum a C sharp major scale and call out the letter names. C sharp, D sharp, E sharp, F sharp, right? Do something that made them think, close their eyes so they couldn't see what was going on around them. And now let's hum our favorite piece, orally. And hum. Don't let them open their mouths. You have to be a psychologist, you know that. To be a choir director, and we have to pull out every trick in the book to get our choirs to sing well. We all face these same problems. I remember I had a junior high choir that would take out their combs out of their purse and start combing their hair in rehearsal, you know, or just doing stupid things. And I went to a lecture. I was getting my master's degree, and it was a lecture on praise. It was called The Value of Praise. And they talked about how important it is to constantly give your students positive affirmation. You did. Several times you gave it to them when they didn't even deserve it. So that's not your problem. But I went back and I treated my choir entirely different. I didn't say, put away your purses, put away your comb, don't do this, don't do that, which is what I had fallen into the trap. We all fall into traps of singing. I used to talk too much in rehearsal. As you can see, I like to talk. And one time I had a bass come to me in college, and he said, I'm dropping choir. And I said, why? And he said, because you talk too much. Me, the proponent of 7 words or less, I realized that I'd gotten into this thing about planning ahead for the next concert and talking about the text. I don't know. But I was talking more than we were singing. And so what you know what you want them to do. And I hope that you will stop doing all their work for them. That's when I started having my students make all the motions themselves. Have them do the kodai, have them stretch the notes, have them articulate, you know, have them put their hands on their tummy, have them put their hands on their shoulder. Stop doing it for them. They expect you to do it, so they can be lazy now. They don't have to do anything because you're doing it all. Keep doing what you're doing, but make sure that every one of your singers is doing it too. 100% or 150%. Then you'll have a great choir because you know what you want. But remember, they want to sing. So get to the songs quicker.
Thank you, Charlene. Oh man, and Linda, I think all of us have had those days, those rehearsals, those squirrely basses or alto, whatever, XYZ section in the back. And you really do, like you have, like Charlene said, you have to pick every single bag of tricks you have. And oh my gosh, it was just the empathy was pouring from me, on those days. Charlene, we're on our last minute or two. Thank you all for staying a few minutes over. I was enjoying it, and I just loved hearing all the suggestions. Charlene, anything you'd like to say and wrap up?
No, I probably said already too much, but I'm happy to answer anybody's questions if they have questions, or if you want to email me and ask me a personal question at Char Archibeque, first 4 letters, and archibeque@gmail.com. I'm happy to answer your question. It's fun to get to work with you, find conductors who all know what you want, and you'll find a way to get it, right? If something doesn't work, try something else.
Wonderful. Thank you. I put the Dr. Archibeque's, was that a hand, Javius? Sorry.
I'm sorry, you can finish your statement, then I can ask my question.
Oh yeah, Dr. Archibeque's email is in the chat if you'd like to get a hold of her.
Oh, good. Chat. It says 2 participants raised a hand.
Javius, go ahead. Oh, and Amber.
I wanted to take this time to just personally say thank you, Dr. Archibeque, for this session. I think, like, as conductors, sometimes we're not aware of the things that we're doing well or the things that we need to improve on, because a lot of our times I think our singers just think as a singer and not necessarily a conductor. So this is great to have this. Sorry, that's my dog. I wanted to ask, is there going to be a part 2 of this where we could redo, like, people that shared their videos could do like a redo to see what they've improved on or something like that? Is that like...
Ask Jack. The whole idea is Jacqueline's. She's doing such a wonderful thing, and I've been watching some of her videos. You get something from everybody. All of us are a combination of everything we've heard and seen in our lives, and we never stop learning. If we do, we're 10 feet underground. So the only thing I would want to say is plan more specifically. Which exercises? How long are you going to spend on each? Which piece are you going to begin with? Which piece will match their mood? If they come in and you can tell they're kind of tired and lazy, then you want something really up and inspirational to start the rehearsal. Who was it? Weston Noble always said, sing the piece that they love the best first, so that they say, oh, I'm so glad I'm here today. I love this song. I love making music together. And then you can do an exercise. You don't always have to begin with exercises. It's a good idea to do one in the middle of rehearsal before the next piece. This piece has something rhythmically, so let's work on rhythms. I often do that. Exercises throughout the rehearsal instead of all at the beginning.
That's a great idea.
Plan. Yeah.
Yeah, and Javius, if you want to send another video, I can look at it. I can ask Dr. Archibeque if you want to email her and see if you can set something up with her, send a little snippet to see. And then I would love to have Dr. Archibeque back. Anne Marie, what was your question?
Well, I didn't really have a question, and I don't want to keep people longer because it's been a while, but I just wanted to throw out, this is my rehearsal strategy. I do a warm up at the beginning just to bring everybody together. I have high school kids. I have a junior high choir and a senior high choir. They come to me at the end of the day and I need them focused. So we'll just do getting our bodies ready, getting our breath ready. Okay, then we sing, and my warm-ups go according to, so I don't do a diction warm-up right away. When we get to the song where we need to use diction, then we'll use snippets of that song as our warm-up and then say, okay, this is where you need to apply the thing we just did, so that so it's not just this abstract warm-up, but I do need them to focus. I can't just start with them because we're in choir now, get rid of everything, all the fights that you had before you got here. And so I do some physical things, not a lot, minute or two to get us focused, and then boom,
That's
we're going.
really good.
That's just what works for me. So take it or leave it.
To pull the exercises from the music, especially Cecil Effinger's 4 pastorals. Have you ever done any of those? Basket, know me, know me, know me. It begins, the children out of the woods have brought me a basket. Cecil Effinger taught at Colorado, where I got my doctorate. He's a wonderful composer. And there's a piece called No Mark, and it's about people who are killed in an airplane during a war. And the diction is so important. If you do schedule that piece right away, the words have to come out. I can't think of the first phrase. I should, but diction is everything in that piece. So I try to choose one piece that's for diction, one piece for legato, one piece for range building. I had a friend who only picks her music for how it will make her choir sound. She chooses everything for tone quality. Always working on tone quality, opening their throat, singing more relaxed.
Amazing.
Thank you. It was really nice of all of you to be here today. I know a lot of people sign up and then they watch on their own time because they're probably busy working right now. But it's been really fun to work with you all, and I admire each of you so much for being willing to let us learn from your situation. Because we all, like Jacqueline said, we've all had bad days, we've all had great days, and some days you're ready to quit. And other days you think there's no better profession. So keep at it.
Thank you so much, Dr. Archibeque. Thank you for everyone for joining us. If you would like a professional development certificate, if you're here now, just go ahead and send me an email. I'll send it off to you. If you're watching afterwards, send a few notes on the class that you took, and I'll be happy to send that off. Dr. Archibeque, you are you're a legend, you're fantastic. I appreciate you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you, dear.